Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to my channel and you can call me Majana. So this week I was finally done with my exams and I woke up this morning and felt like filming. And I also had this idea to film this video for over a month and I was like, I feel finally ready to do this. And I'm gonna talk about one of the subjects I'm the most passionate about, which is writing, journaling, writing down your thoughts. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So I've been journaling for the past 1 or 2 years consistently, or at least I try to do it every day. It just depends whether I did this in my notebook or in my phone. But it wasn't always like that. I think I started when I was around 9 years old, and I did this because I wanted to have someone to talk to, but at the same time I didn't trust the girls in my class, so I started writing. Later, when I read what I wrote, I decided to throw away those notebooks because it was all purely gossip. But this brings me to the main idea why I do this till this day, is that it allows you to express your emotions and just have time with yourself. There's also one quote I like by Anna Frank called "Paper has more patience than people." And I really very much agree with this idea. So the second reason why I like journaling so much is because it brings you the peace of mind. And I'm gonna share something with you. So this is my notebook. I finished half of it already. But I don't call this a diary nor a journal. I call it a thoughts floating book because this is what it is to me personally. I just have some irritating thoughts. I just put them into drawers and I have this like tidy space in my head. And it's a very similar feeling to how you feel after working out or after meditating. And yeah, when you have the peace of mind, you have focus, and when you have focus, you can nail the world basically. The third aspect is of course documenting, because in order to see your progress, you need to know where you started and all the steps that you took to get to the point you are right now. And it's just one of the craziest things ever to read what you wrote a month, a year ago, and see that you knew nothing about what's gonna happen if you take a certain decision, and like listing all the pros and cons, then choosing, and now you being on the other side knowing everything that happened due to that decision. But you being right here, you know nothing. And yeah, it's just that's just one of the craziest things ever. Okay, so I don't know about you, but me personally, in order to get the stuff done, I need to write it down first, otherwise nothing happens. And sometimes I have all these ideas and it gets so overwhelming that I don't know where to start. So yeah, basically writing gives me clarity. And also sometimes when I write, it happens very rarely, but you start and you get into the flow and it feels as though your hand is writing on its own, and then you finish and then you read and you're shocked by the content that you just wrote, because it's not something that you would have ever written on your own. And you kind of want to turn the blind eye on it and ignore it. But the thing that happens is that if not in this form, this will happen again, but just in another form. So it's better to pay attention to those things, because this is usually the intuition telling you what to do in order for you to improve your life. And this is like very uncomfortable, but it's better to just trust it and go for it. And I'm getting philosophical, but I really hope that you understand me. I also thought that it could be useful for me to share my experience of what was happening with me last autumn, which was I wrote a lot, but I didn't act on what I was writing and what felt right. And it just got me into the cycle of like, I'm feeling low, I write it down, I feel better, but I don't do anything. A week passes by and I write down the exact same thoughts. And it's like a never-ending cycle. So it is actually possible to overdo journaling. And the key to not get into the situation I've been back then is to take those baby steps. I know that they look very, very insignificant and small, but looking at the bigger picture, they actually make the whole a lot of a difference. We have finally approached the last aspect, which is you can heal yourself through journaling, and I want to share with you one quote. Our memories exist for us to learn from them. They're not there for us to suppress. Humble the poet. This brings us to the point where we realize that you would not have acted the way you did had you known what you know right now. So it's kind of silly to be angry and guilty about your past self for making stupid decisions. When writing, you can actually catch yourself sometimes thinking about things that are holding you back. It can be people, it can be your past experiences, it can be your limiting beliefs. And we tend to think that these things will get solved once we immerse ourselves fully into the work and we'll just forget things. But oftentimes it's not really the case. We're just running away from the problem instead of facing it. And what can happen is that you keep running and running and running away from yourself until you face the dead end and you ask yourself, what was all this for? And I don't wish anyone to be in that position, but if anyone's facing it right now, I can tell that there is actually the good side of reaching the rock bottom, because it allows you, in fact, it forces you to ask yourself what is really important to you. And later on, you might look back and see, I would have not started this thing in the first place had I not experienced some shit before that. Okay, so I don't know how many times I tried to record this part, but I can't do this without getting emotional, so I guess I'm just gonna do this the way it is. So what I was trying to say was that it's okay to feel sad from time to time, because it's a part of being human, but what's not okay is being stuck in that position and not choosing to move forward with your life. And sometimes you hate yourself so much for the past mistakes that you've made, and it feels as though they define who you are as a person and what you can achieve in life. Which is not true, because your present defines your future and not your past. Should I wear more makeup to cover my red eyes? I don't know. Excuse me, guys. So in order to move on, we need to first learn how to let go. And one of the main lessons of my life is loss is not necessarily the loss, it's the gain, because it creates space for things that truly matter. And we need to give the permission to forgive ourselves. And if we choose not to, then I want to ask you, what's the point? What's the reason why you choose not to forgive yourself? What's the point of holding on those emotions of unworthiness and guilt? How is it serving you? Because the truth is, these are just pleasing your ego. They're not doing anything good to you. So what I did was I sat down and I wrote, I forgive myself for blank. I forgive myself for blank. And it was the whole page of stuff. The next thing you can do with the help of writing is to change your beliefs. One day, for example, I wrote down how I was feeling, and I felt really down. And the next day I sat and I reread everything that I wrote the day before, and I started to rewrite every single sentence in a positive way. For example, if you write down something like, I'm broke, well, maybe you're not actually broke. Maybe you have your family, maybe you have food to eat, maybe you have where to sleep. Maybe you can actually focus right now on what's really important to you. Maybe you can look also for a job or create the job for yourself. Like, what you're feeling right now and where you are, they can be changed. So all you have to do is to take those baby steps. You're not in this situation forever. And this gives you hope and strength to go out and do stuff. At least this is how it is for me. You might as well realize that you need to let go of certain relationships in your life. And on this note, I want to share another quote with you. Not knowing where you stand in someone's life is emotional torture. You don't deserve that. Stop settling. Sosa. I know that this is way easier said than done because relationships play a huge role in our lives. And it's not easy to let it go. You don't have the delete button in your head where you can delete the memory of a certain person. Memories stay. And of course there were beautiful moments, but if the problem occurs always due to the same reason and it lasts not a day, not a week, but months, this probably means that it's time to end everything, because this is dragging you down so freaking much. And it's hard to admit that because it means that all this time was all for nothing, and you started the whole relationship with the idea that this can grow into something beautiful, which turned out not to be the case. And for things like that, I have, at least for me, it worked one solution, which is to write a letter. You just sit down. It doesn't matter, it can be to yourself, it can be to another person, it can be to a person who is no longer on this earth anymore. But you just sit down, you write how you're feeling, you express gratitude because you wouldn't be the person you are today without those experiences. You also forgive, and you end the letter with something like, now this end means only the new beginning, and I can't wait to start. And you finish, and you go out somewhere, I don't know where, but just be safe, and you burn the letter. I got this idea, I think, from one movie called 3 Steps Above Heaven, the second one. Oh my gosh, I wish this in the middle school. But yeah, there was the story of a girl who lost her partner and she couldn't move on without him. So she wrote down and she burned it and just let it go. When I did this, at first you don't really feel anything, but with the few days you start to feel a little bit better. And it takes time, and it's okay to take time. And now I'm just feeling very, very grateful for being able to write and read. And I sometimes even debate what I like more, to practice or to write. And I think I'll leave music for the first place because You just don't need words to understand it. So yeah, I hope it was useful. I hope it didn't make you cry. And yeah, I wish you a lovely day. Bye bye.